For the last step of practice, we're going to be working with two reference pictures, so make sure you have chosen which set you're going to work with. For my examples here, I'm going to use the apple and erasers. To get started, we're going to go through all of the steps that we just did, but put it all together on both of these images. So I'm going to start out by tracing this picture. This is a low opacity image, which means that it is not as vivid or bright as the regular reference picture is. To find that, you can go back to the original reference image if you want to look at it while you're working for more of the detail, possibly visible or seeing highlights and shadows as you go more. So I'm outlining areas of highlight, areas of shadow, going around every detail that I see as I'm tracing and outlining the apple here. So there's that highlight on the top, and then looking at the details within, outlining the major main shapes. If you see more than a highlight, medium tone, and shadow, you can outline variations of those medium tones where it might be slightly lighter or slightly darker, depending on how far you want to take it with the detail for this practice. But it's always best if you see more to outline more detail. The more that you can do, the better. So I'm outlining these erasers as well. There's that main plane on the front that is mostly one value, more of a shadow. And then the side is a medium tone, and the top has more of a highlight. And then same with the outside ridges as well. The next step is going to be drawing blind contour drawings of these. Just like what we did before, we're going to hold your reference image off to the side, and then on this provided worksheet, you're going to do your blind contour drawing of both sets of images. So I'm going to start with my apple and hold this off to the side. I'm outlining every detail that I just traced. I'm going to outline around highlights, shadows, all different variations of textures on the inside that I can pick up. So just really stare at your reference, get familiar with it, because that will help when we get to the modified contour drawing. The more that you can focus on your reference now, the easier it will be as you continue with your simple shapes next, and then, like I said, the modified contour drawings. So here's the rest of the blind contour. This is sped up. So obviously go a lot slower than this. As you're working on outlining, take your time and really slow down. The next step after this blind contour is done is going to be our simple shapes. So we're going to flip this picture over, or this worksheet over, and you're going to draw the same reference images using simple shapes. So break things up into the basic shapes that are available based on the reference you're working with. So the apple has a circle to start with, and then a thin rectangle for the stem on the top. I am checking the angle of the stem by holding my pencil on top of my reference picture and making sure that that angle lines up and is the same angle in my image as it is down in my drawing. And then I'm looking at the size of the main circle compared to the size of the shadow that's in the middle at the top there by the stem. And then I also lightly drew a couple of curves just as I'm working to kind of use that as a guideline for the curve of the form of my apple to make sure that it looks three-dimensional and my lines are not flat or straight across. Again, they are curved here. Now I'm going in with the contour outline where I'm going and outlining as much detail as I can around the outside of the apple. It's not a perfect circle. There is a little bit of variation in the angle and the curve and the shape of it. So really pay attention to whatever reference you're using. What does that outline of your reference look like? Is it a perfect circle? If not, really look at what difference it is based on the reference image and then what you have in your drawing. I'm also outlining now highlights, and then I'm outlining shadows. I'm going to leave my medium tones because what is not highlight or shadow is going to be your medium value. So look at where is it dark and outline those areas. Use as much detail as you can. Don't just draw a quick circle guessing where it's dark, but look at where the border of that shadow is. It might not always be obvious. It might be more of a faded value, but take your best guess at your outline if that's the case, if you can't completely see where it goes. Next up, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do my simple shapes for the erasers, which is triangles on the top, and then more of a square at the bottom. And then I'm kind of turning them into forms as well. So looking at the shape of the square, looking at the edges, double checking the angles, looking at where the size relationships are, which eraser is going to be closer to the viewer and larger, and which eraser, which is the one on the left, is going to be the smallest. Then I'm working on filling in those contour outlines, contour shapes here, looking at where my highlights and shadows are and getting those outlined and filled in as well. So I'm outlining around the outside highlight, filling in where my shadows and medium tones are. So when I go in with my cross contour lines, it's easy to remember where I need to put my lines close together and where they need to be spread further apart.